Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Wanted to do a quick video talking about composting. Wanted to make it as simple as possible so everybody can kind of understand and maybe they can try composting for themselves. Now, I like compost and organic matter. I like putting a good scoop of that into each hill when I'm planting potatoes. It adds nutrients into it, plus it loosens up my soil. I got a lot of clay in my soil, so it's very hard, especially this time of year in the summertime. I like adding a little bit of that in to help those plants along. But the way prices have gotten, it's not really economically feasible to, buy all the compost and stuff that you need. So I'm going to start making it like my mom used to. Now, Mom, she used to do a compost bin, and she would lay that corrugated tin down that they tore off the old barns and stuff, and she would lay 2 or 3 sheets on the ground. She would put a couple of fence posts in, and then she would put sides and a back on it so you could kind of like walk into it. And then she would add everything in there, and she would religiously go out there with a fork, and she would turn that. And it actually worked really well because of her diligence and keeping an eye on it. It was usually always warm enough that snow never even stayed on that compost heap. That compost heap was constantly working, and then she did the same thing. She would work that in. If she was going to plant something, she would work a scoopful of that into the ground, and it really worked. Compost is basically broke down into, I'm going to use kind of the modern terms now, green and brown material. Your brown material is stuff like straw, leaves, that kind of stuff, wood chips. That's your brown material. And then your green material is sort of like your kitchen scraps, your vegetable scraps from the kitchen, stuff like potato peelings, carrot peelings, like when you clean an onion, the stuff that's left on that, and that's what's called green material. Green leaves, anything like lettuce, lettuce cores, any of that stuff. Those things were always saved at our house, and if the chickens didn't eat them, it went into the compost bucket, and then it was taken out and it was put on the compost pile. About 3 weeks ago, I actually got myself a compost tumbler because I wanted to kind of encourage my household to start composting, and I put it close to sort of the back door of our house so that it's easy for us to take that right out, so we don't have a compost bucket inside the house. But I made it easy enough so that my family can just go out and put their scraps and stuff into the compost bin. Now, I started one batch 3 weeks ago. I got that cooking right now, and I'm going to start another batch for you guys so I can show you exactly how I went about doing it, so I can show you the progress and show you how to start. So I'm going to take my phone now. I'm going to go outside, and I'm going to show you how to put this compost together. Here is my compost tumbler, and as you can see, first of all, it's sunny right here. You want compost in an area where it can get a little warmth from the sun to get that decomposition process started. Now, this compost tumbler has 2 different compartments. And that's so you can have 2 different batches going at the same time. Now you can see down in there what the compost that's been in there about 3 weeks looks like. And there was a couple of things my mom never composted. She never composted any brassicas, anything like cabbage, broccoli. She never composted those because she said that spread disease, and it would get into the soil and would affect her other crops. So she never put any type of cabbage or anything like that in compost, and she never put in grass clippings. Grass clippings were something she never put in because she said no matter how hot your compost got, there would still always be weed seeds in the grass clippings. So she never ever put grass clippings in because she said that would spread weeds, basically. Now, the other one here, the one that I just started, you can see down in there, I got some potatoes, some potato peelings, some eggshells, and some coffee grounds, and that is your green material, basically. And then I have some wood shavings there that I use for mulch on my garlic, and my garlic's ready to be harvested, so it doesn't need mulch anymore. So I rake that up, and then that is going to go in here. Typically, the textbook way is about 1/4 green material, like your vegetable material, and then 3 3/4 the brown material, like your straw or your wood shavings or your leaves. And for me, it doesn't really, I guess, matter that much, even if it's 1/3 green material and then 1/3 of the brown material, and then another like 1/3 of straw or something. A lot of people get sort of tied up on that, but I just pretty much throw everything in here that I got. And then of course you want to put some water on this, and the water that I actually use on this is the water from my basically my homemade rain catchment system that I get off my garage roof, because I want basically all the good bacteria that I can possibly get in there. And that's basically what the mulch looks like. That's the brown material that I got in there. And then of course you got to have something to start the process out, and then typically you'll either use a shovelful of your old compost that you just finished up, or just put a shovelful of ground in from your garden, and that'll add your bacteria and all your good stuff in there to start the fermentation process going. I say fermentation, but it's actually decomposition is what it is. But water is the other thing. I'm gonna add some water in here now from my rain catchment, because we want that good and soaked, and it always needs to be wet enough where it'll be clumped up. And if it starts to dry out, get dry on the top, you want to add some liquid into it. And then all we're going to do here is we're going to close this guy up. We're going to give it a few spins, and then a couple times a week I'll come out here and I'll spin everything, and then I'll sort of pack it all back down. And then that is what helps the compost start to work. And spinning this is basically the same as my mom going out with a fork and then turning it. And then this is sort of what it looks like. There's the compost that's working, and then there's the fresh stuff that I just mixed up for you guys. But anyway, I am going to go back in the garage now. I'm going to have a little wrap up with you guys. All right, well, that is the basics of mixing up a batch of compost. A couple other tips. You always want to keep it moist. If you see it drying off, you need to put some more liquid into it. And Mom would actually take the water hose over there, and she would spray that down from time to time if it got too dry. Moisture is very important for that decomposition process. Another thing is cutting your stuff small. So if you're going to take like vegetables and stuff that you got that you're going to discard and you're going to put in your compost, it helps if you cut them up. And the smaller you cut them up, or I've heard of some people even grating the stuff and shredding it up. I'm not going to probably go that far, but you want to cut that stuff up small, because the smaller stuff decomposes quicker than, of course, larger stuff. And I would like to have a working batch of compost out of this by fall, so I can put that back into my garden basically for the winter and let that basically absorb into the soil. So keep it moist. Tumble it. If you're just doing a pile, you want to turn that with your fork. If you got one of these tumblers, you want to every other day or so, or a couple times a week, you definitely want to tumble that to keep that working. You want that agitation basically to keep the decomposition process going. So you definitely want to do that. So keep your stuff small, keep it moist, and turn it as often as you possibly can. And no brassicas and no grass clippings to keep the diseases and the weed seeds down in your compost. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys get a little information, a little entertainment out of my videos like this one right here. And you guys have a good one.